Hello there, everyone. Today for Kindergarten Social Studies Day 2, we are going to be reading one of my favorite books called A is for Abigail. After you have read this book, please pick your favorite lady, draw a picture, and then on your Class Dojo Portfolio, please send your teacher a video of you with your picture explaining why that lady is your favorite. Let's get started. Now, I am not going to be able to read all of the words on the page, so I'm only going to be reading the words in this box, and then maybe some of the words over here. If you would like to read the rest of this book, you can either pause this video and have a grown-up read you what is in the bubbles and over here and all around the outside, or you can get this book on Amazon. A is for Abigail Adams, who knew that women should be heard. While her husband John was helping to create the American nation, Abigail Adams ran the family farm and took care of their 4 children. John would become our 2nd president. John Quincy, John and Abigail's oldest son, would become our 6th president. B is for Elizabeth Blackwell and others who wanted to heal. In 1849, Elizabeth Blackwell became the first woman to earn a medical degree. She encouraged others who wanted to prevent illness and help the sick. C is for Evelyn Cameron and the women who went west. Evelyn Cameron was born in England, moved to Montana with her husband in 1889, and the decades that followed she broke colts, which means that she trained horses. In the decades that followed, she broke colts, pitched hay, cut down trees, fed chickens, and also created a valuable historical record by photographing the people, landscapes, and wildlife of the American West. D is for Emily Dickinson, our country's greatest poet. Although she seldom left her home in Amherst, Massachusetts, Emily Dickinson explored the world through her imagination. And if we look over here, we will actually see part of one of her poems. Let's read it together. There is no frigate like a book to take us lands away, nor any coursers like a page of prancing poetry. This traverse may be the poorest take, without a press of toll. How frugal is the chariot that bears the human soul. E is for the educators, the women who taught us well. Educators are people like me, they're teachers. The daughter of former slaves, Mary McLeod Bethune, knew that education was the key to opportunity. A school she founded for African American girls later became Bethune-Cookman College. F is for the first ladies who have graced our nation from the start. So first ladies are the women who are married to the president. So for every president so far, we have had a first lady. Some famous first ladies are Abigail Adams, who we already talked about at the beginning of this book, Martha Washington, who was our first lady, Eleanor Roosevelt, who was part of the United Nations. This book was written when I was a kid, so it does not include our 2 most recent first ladies, who are Michelle Obama, and our current first lady is Melania Trump. G is for Mary Kathleen Goddard and others who brought us news. In 1775, Mary Kathleen Goddard became the publisher of the Maryland Journal. In 1777, she was commissioned by the Continental Congress. That means that our early government, the government we had when we were separating from England, paid her to print the first signed copies of the Declaration of Independence so they could be sent to the states. So when they first signed the Declaration of Independence, They went to Mary Kathleen Goddard and asked her to print the Declaration of Independence so it could be sent to everybody. H is for Anne Hutchinson. In 1634, Puritans. H is for Anne Hutchinson. Try again. In 1634, Puritans William and Anne Hutchinson and their 11 children sailed from England to the Massachusetts Bay Colony, seeking a place where they could worship as they chose. Anne's beliefs were different from those of the colony's leaders, however, and when she set forth her views, that means when she spoke her mind, and when she set forth her views and gained enthusiastic followers are people who agreed with her ideas, and when she set forth her views and gained enthusiastic followers, the Massachusetts General Court put her on trial. She defended herself with bravery and eloquence, but was banished from the colony forever. This might be someone that I is for Laura Ingalls and Other Girls of America's Past. I used to read her books all the time growing up. They were my favorite. If you ever get a chance, you should definitely read Laura Ingalls Wilder. Laura Ingalls was a child. Her family, like many, looked for land they could farm for a living. In 1869 to 1879, she moved with her family from the woods to the prairie, to Walnut Grove, Minnesota, to De Smet, South Dakota. When she grew up, she wrote books about the many places she had lived. And Laura Ingalls, actually, one of the reasons she's such a great writer is because one of her sisters was blind, and she used to describe where they were to her older sister. J is for Anna Jarvis, who loved her mother very much. Because of Anna Jarvis, Mother's Day became a national holiday in 1914. K is for Mary Kies and Other Inventors and Entrepreneurs. In 1809, Mary Kies received the first U.S. patent granted to a woman. Her invention, a method of weaving straw and silk together, advanced the art of hat making. L is for Julia Lathrop and those who have lifted others up. As the first head of the Children's Bureau, a government agency created in 1812, Julia Lathrop worked to make the lives of babies and children safer and better. M is for Maria Mitchell and all those who took to the skies. In 1847, Maria Mitchell discovered a comet in the night skies. By the 1860s, her reputation as an astronomer is someone who studies the space and stars. And by the 1860s, her reputation as an astronomer was so exalted, that means that people thought of her so highly and thought that she was so smart, that Vassar College built this observatory for her. An observatory is a place that has a really, really, really big, super strong telescope so that we can look at the stars. N is for Louise Nevelson and Other Creators of Beautiful Things. So all of these amazing women are all artists. O is for Sandra Day O'Connor and others who were first. Sandra Day O'Connor, the first woman on the Supreme Court. P. I wonder what P is for. P is for the performers. So we're just going to point out a few of them that you or your parents might know. So there's Lucille Ball. She was famous for being on television in the 50s and 60s in a show called I Love Lucy. This is Mary Martin. Mary Martin was the first person to play Peter Pan. Did you know that Peter Pan was played by a girl? Aretha Franklin, who is an amazing singer, as well as Tina Turner, who is another amazing singer. Down here, we have Shirley Temple and Ginger Rogers, who are famous for singing and dancing in movies. Q is for the quilt makers who brought art to everyday life. R is for Rosie the Riveter and the women who went to war. When American men went to fight in World War II, women filled their jobs. They worked in offices and factories, became welders and truck drivers, and made Rosie the Riveter, who is this lady up here, and made Rosie the Riveter with her can-do attitude a fitting national symbol. Women also served bravely in the U.S. Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and Army Air Forces. S is for the 60s and 70s and the second wave. The second wave is the struggle for equal rights for women. T is for Trailblazers, the women who showed us the way. We're going to point out just a few. This woman down here is Charlotte Ray. Charlotte Ray broke through a barrier for African American women when she was admitted to the district attorney bar. That means that she became a lawyer in D.C. Elizabeth Peabody began the American kindergarten movement. That's pretty important, huh? Without her, you might not even be in kindergarten. U is for us and our grand history. This is a timeline of all the amazing things, not all, but many of the amazing things that happened in the United States. I will highlight a few of them for you. 1872, Susan B. Anthony votes in Rochester, New York, is arrested and fined. We'll get more into Susan B. later, but she's from Rochester. How amazing is that? In 1920, the 19th Amendment was ratified, which means that a law was passed saying that women could vote, because before 1920, women were not allowed to vote. 1955, Rosa Parks refuses to give up her seat, galvanizes the civil rights movement. V is for variety. Who can count all the things girls can be when they grow up? Because you can be anything that you want to be. W is for Edith Wharton and women writers all. In 1921, Edith Wharton became the first woman to win the Pulitzer Prize in fiction. The Pulitzer Prize is an award for writing. In 1921, Edith Wharton became the first woman to win the Pulitzer Prize in fiction. Even as a little girl, she had been enchanted by language. Here is a quote from her. "There was in me a secret retreat," she wrote in her autobiography. "Words and cadences haunted it like the songbirds in a magic wood." X is for the mark on the ballot. Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony. Susan B. Anthony is from Rochester, who worked 50 years for the vote, did not live to see women's right on the ballot recognized in the Constitution. Unfortunately, Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony, Susan B. is right here, were not alive when women got the right to vote, and they fought their entire lives to see it happen. How sad is that? But Susan B. was the first woman that we know of who tried to vote, and she was arrested and fined for it, which means that she had to pay the government money because they were not allowed to vote at the time. But because of her and But because of Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton and all of these other amazing women, we can vote now, which is amazing because that is one of the biggest ways that we can make positive change. Y is for Rosalind Yallow and women in science and math. For groundbreaking work in physics, Dr. Shen Shung Wu received the National Medal of Science in 1975. Z is for Babe Durkison Zaharias and all the women who would be strong. At the 1832 Olympics, Babe Durkison Zaharias won medals in high jump, javelin throw, and hurdles. A baseball, basketball, and golf champion as well, she was named Woman Athlete of the Year 6 times. So not only did she run track and field in the Olympics, she was also very good at playing baseball, basketball, and golf. That's amazing! Thank you all so much for reading along with me. Remember to draw a picture of your favorite lady from this story or another amazing lady that you know, and then send a video through Class Dojo Portfolio to your teacher of you explaining why that woman is your favorite woman from this book or another great woman you know. Have a great day, everybody, and I will see you in the next lesson. Bye!